Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Betting Show, Week 18, brought to you by freebets.com, the very best free bets brought to you daily by the Free Bets team. If you lost a bit too much, spent a bit too much money over Christmas on Christmas presents, freebets.com might have the offer for you. They might have a little offer on there, maybe get some of it back. Remember,
was there a little Freudian slip there? Have we lost a little bit too much money over the Christmas period?
I haven't. I had quite a good Christmas in terms of betting. It all went quite well for me, so which is good because I have a wife that's birthday is in January. So
oh yeah, well there you go.
Adam, you are with the Free Bets team. You've been writing for them. I'm guessing you've got some stuff, maybe some stuff out for tonight.
We do have some stuff out for tonight. Saturday night, we have got the Bucks Panthers bet builder that's going out. We've got the Sunday accumulator article going out for all the NFL games tomorrow, and then I have got a couple of football ones as well that's going out, which Chelsea, Man City, and I can't remember the other one.
Not gone for Bournemouth. I think there's an offer on the Bournemouth.
I am not the decider of such important decisions. I am merely the on the old keyboard. That's it. So yeah, but yeah, go over there. There's plenty of stuff over there. We've got two guys who do horse racing who are really, really good. Always got stuff out all week long. And I think we got the fifth test, haven't we? The Ashes starting soon. So there's some, if anyone's interested, but there's some cricket stuff there as well. And lots of football, lots of NFL. There's going to be plenty of bet builders for you in the playoffs coming up as well. So there's lots of stuff to keep an eye on out there. And as you say, loads of free bets from different websites, even the big websites as well. There's loads there. So go over there and have a look.
Well, at this point of the show, we usually talk about the game that's already been on. It's not been one yet. So they are both tonight. So we'll quickly, I know in the main show you spoke about both these games, I believe.
Yes, we did. I was going to say, I assume, because I know you have sent me the FTAG5, but I can't remember what you put. I'm assuming you haven't included either of tonight's ones, because I haven't included.
No. Never include the day before.
Yeah.
Because then obviously you lose the first one, it's out, it's game over. You may as well not tune in on Sunday. What's the point?
Exactly.
So yeah, briefly, we've got the Panthers at the Bucks. I think you were all very kind of split on this one. I think you all wanted the Panthers to win, but thought that the Buccaneers probably will win this one. I don't know. I don't know what's happened in terms of betting as well to the Buccaneers offense. I know you guys briefly mentioned about the injuries and stuff, but I found that since they've been healthier, they've been worse. Since the likes of Evans and Godwin came back and they've stopped throwing the ball to Egbuka and Tez Johnson, they've not done as well. And also has kind of messed with our betting a little bit because Egbuka was a banker for us every single week. Why do you think it is that he's only getting a couple of targets a week at the minute since the big boys are back and they've not reverted back to what was working at the start of the year when they were winning games?
Well, I think you're dealing with I suppose, I hate to say that it's like a structure, but it does kind of feel a little bit that way, where it's almost like, well, Mike Evans is the main guy, so I'm always going to throw it to him. It does feel like that's what's happening with Baker. And it kind of almost is like he's gone back to his favourites sort of thing, where it is like, because it's not just Evans and Godwin. It's McMillan as well, which I noticed, especially last week. I was really surprised, where it was like, oh, actually, McMillan's getting really involved here, and that to me kind of felt like, well, they're the sort of passes that you would expect Egbuka to be getting with Evans and Godwin on the field. So it does feel a little bit strange. I think really what's happened now is there's just so many more mouths to feed, and that's the problem. That's where it's all kind of fallen apart for them. Especially for us as well, because they've kind of gone away from Egbuka because Evans is there, because Godwin is there, because they've got the history of being very good. So I'm going to make sure I throw it to them and I won't have any problems. And although Egbuka did really, really well for them this season, it kind of doesn't matter. I think they've just sort of reverted back to how it was. And it kind of feels like that's the reason that they've struggled on the offense in the last few weeks. And then defensively, they've just struggled. Like, I mean, all season, they haven't been that great on the defense, really, compared to previous years. So I think that's what the problem is. I don't think that's going to change. I think they'll just keep going down that route. And I mean, you know, I was a little bit like, it's difficult. In the grand scheme of things, I still don't really care who wins this game, sort of thing. It's like, I think whichever team goes through is probably going to get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. And they're just, you know, I heard, what was it? I heard someone call it the Make-A-Wish Bowl. You know, that's kind of like, that's what we're dealing with here, where it's just a little bit like, it's, yeah, you get into the playoffs, but you're not really going to go anywhere. What's the point? And I think that for the Panthers, I think if they win, great. If they lose, I don't think, not that they're not going to care, but I think it's not really going to affect them that much. I think if the Buccaneers win, it's what is expected. And if the Buccaneers lose, and if, especially this game, if they lose this game and they're done before because the Saints-Falcons game has some implications on it. If they lose this game, then it means they're out and the Panthers are in and the Saints-Falcons game doesn't matter. Then I think changes will be made.
Yeah, I think for the Panthers, it'd be objective complete, isn't it? You know, maybe ahead of schedule, topping the group. I think, you know, having a winning record, being in the hunt, everything like that was maybe what they were aiming for this year. So it's objective complete for them, whereas Tampa was top the group, see if we can get a good run in the playoffs again, which obviously is not where they're at. The other game is a massive game. It's Seattle at San Francisco. Really a shame it's the 1 a.m. game for us, because that's the one I want to watch. It could be a preview of what could be the NFC Championship here, with the way the teams are playing at the moment. And I know you both talked about coaching on both sides of the ball being fantastic, but I think this is it's going to be hard to split this one in a preview as well.
I feel like I come down very much on the side of the Seahawks, to be honest. And that's not because they've sort of like got a better record and they're the number one seed already. But I just feel like, actually, I think when you look into it, the 49ers, you know, they haven't had you know, some of their games obviously have been tough. They've had to play the Seahawks and the Rams twice, so it's not been the easiest. But some of the other teams they've played they've had some decent opposition. It was the easiest
schedule prior to the season starting.
Yeah.
Big thing on the preview show that we did before the season started, where I said they're going to top the group, and you guys all went, "Don't be an idiot." I was like, their schedule is so easy. Even with the injuries, they're still in with a shot at topping the group.
And I think that the injuries is that the problem is that the injuries is something that happens every year. So you just know it's going to happen. This is the problem. So I think because of that, that's where the issue is, and that's how come they haven't quite gone as far as what you felt they would. I just think that, you know, they played against the Bears. They gave up 38 points against the Bears. I know the Bears offense is doing well at the moment, but I don't think any defense that's giving up 38 points against anyone is going to be able to do anything when it comes to the playoffs significantly anyway. So I feel like the Seahawks are just a better all-round team. And, you know, if you're interested, it's -2.5 on the spread. It's within a field goal. So I would be backing that. I know it's away from home, but I just think the Seahawks will shut them down a lot better than what a Bears, you know, the Bears defense is not the greatest. So I think they will shut them down a lot more. 49ers might not be able to outscore as much as what they have been able to in other games. And although I still question Sam Darnold in playoff and sort of like, because this basically is a playoff game essentially, in that sort of when the pressure's really on, I just think the overall team is so much better that they will just get the job done, even by stopping the 49ers rather than scoring loads of points.
Yeah, throughout the season, we've said that they were the closest team to the Rams of having the best well-rounded team on offense, defense, special teams, coaching staff. You know, they've got everything there in the tools. We just said they were struggling to get over the line against the elite team. So this is a good chance for them to showcase they can get over the line against an elite team. So I think if Seattle do win this, they'll cement themselves as probably one of the favourites going into the playoffs, I think. And quite happy because they were my dark horse on the preview. So
I kind of like the group. Yeah, I mean, I've said all along the Rams, and to be honest, I don't. The only thing that makes me think that they're not going to is since Devonta Adams has been out. I mean, if he comes back, then I think they'll just go slip back.
It was only a hamstring injury, wasn't it? So
I think
well rested, he'll be back in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. So he should be back for the playoffs. So you sort of think to yourself, well, they'll just slide back into how they were. I don't see that changing. It wouldn't shock me at all if it ended up being the Seahawks, Rams. I suppose the only way that doesn't happen is if the Rams do just continue to fall and get a lower seeding. But if that became the NFC Championship game, I think that would be the best one you could have.
Yeah. Let's move on to the FTAG5 then. Let's take a little look. So first off, I went with a team that we've had quite a few times this year because every time it's sort of this close in terms of the spread, I've taken them and it's paid off quite a lot this year. And that is the Dallas Cowboys at -3.5. I think they're still playing to prove that they're how much they've come this year, and they had the doubters, and everyone thought they were going to be useless, and they have been a lot better. I think Dak's trying to put up those numbers and still be viable on offense, whereas Giants are tanking. Where they had the game last week where they could show that they could still play football against useless teams, but I know it's a rivalry. I know it's in division. I know there's that, and they might want to win it. But to move further down the board with another win would not be good for the organization. So they need to really lose this game. Whereas Cowboys, they don't need to lose. So I'm going to take the -3.5 the Cowboys because their offense is quite potent.
Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense. The whole Giants tanking thing's a bit weird because last week they sort of tried to win, and it just. I mean, you'll know more than me, being the long-suffering Giants fan that you are. But I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't understand what the logic behind last week was. They've basically taken themselves out of the first number one pick. Because you've got to feel like the Raiders aren't going to try much. They'll just do what they did last week. So, yeah, a bit of an odd one. Purely on the game, I think the Cowboys offense is stronger than the Giants offense at the moment because of the injuries to the Giants, and the Cowboys defense has improved with certain players coming in. The Giants defense is, although on paper it should be good, it kind of like statistically has struggled a little bit. Very, very poor against the run this season, and so I think it'd be a good game for Javonte Williams in this one. And like you say, it does feel like the Giants don't really want to win it, and that the Cowboys are in one of them positions where they're sort of like there's no incentive to lose, so they might as well just go out and keep their guys out there and play them. And I haven't heard anything about Cowboys players being rested or anything like that, so I think it's just going to be played and as normal for the Cowboys, and the Giants will probably not want to go, like you say, any further down the draft board. So the -3.5 is fine. It's just above the field goal, but even still, I think it's all right. And so I'm with you. I'm with you on the bet, but I don't understand what the Giants are doing last week. It's a weird one. When you're in that situation, it feels like there's only one way to go.
Maybe they felt that the Raiders were tanking so hard that it'd be too obvious, and they went like, let's just absolutely annihilate them instead. I don't know. It's an odd one. I'm not sure what the implications are now, because obviously it was a loss to each other or win for one. But I do wonder in terms of the Kansas City Chiefs being in division with the Raiders, Would you throw the game as a Chief to screw the Raiders over so they don't get Mendoza? I'm not sure whether that does implicate the standings if Giants lose and Raiders win against the Chiefs. Does that?
So the Chiefs are currently, they're in 9th, which is mental to think about when you think about it. They'll be picking in the 9th pick. I'm not quite sure what. Let's have a look. Unfortunately, when it comes to the betting show, week 18 is a bit like this. You have to look at all of this stuff because there is a bit more in it, isn't there? So it is.
Losing is
frustrating.
good for the Chiefs. It gets them a better pick.
Well, I don't know if it does. So the Chiefs are currently 6-10. Oh no, so the Saints are 6-10 as well. Okay, yeah. So losing potentially could be of benefit to them,
and
because
losing could potentially stop them from getting a franchise quarterback in their division, a young, guy with a high ceiling franchise quarterback in their division. You could try and prevent that and get the Giants back in that spot. I'm not sure whether they can though. I'm not sure.
Okay, so basically, if the Chiefs lose this game, they could potentially move up to the 8th pick. That's as far as they can go up the board. So it's only one pick. It does feel a little bit like, realistically, is it worth it for the one pick? I don't know. It does.
Is there implications the other way around? If Raiders win, can Giants go back above them?
So you guys are 3-13. They're 2-14. So I would assume no, because although you would both be 3-14, you would hold a tiebreaker because you beat them. So no. However, the Jets and Titans are both 3-13 at the moment as well. So I don't know if maybe one of them could jump them, possibly. And the Cardinals are 3-13. So yeah. So it's kind of, it really is in Vegas's interest to lose.
Yeah. But I think it's in the interest of the Chiefs to make sure they don't win.
Well. Yeah, I suppose it depends how they feel. I mean, it is a weird one, but maybe they would think that way. But then, you would hope that if you were the Chiefs, you wouldn't be that bothered about that.
I don't know.
But I don't know. Maybe you would be. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well,
but, yeah.
The next game I've gone for, Adam, is the LA Rams. I took the LA Rams at -7. It's now moved to -8.5. I'm not sure whether that puts me off or not yet. But Rams still playing for the best spot they can get in the playoffs, still trying to play good football. Cardinals don't even look great. Like they were competitive like 4 or 5 weeks ago. They don't even look like that at the minute. Not really seeing anything. I think they gave up, whereas Rams haven't. So the -7, I really, really loved it. It's now -8.5. I still think it can be a 10+ win for the Rams in this position. I think they've still got the backup players. Even Blake Corum's playing really, really well at the moment. I think they can do it without Adams, despite the fact he's a big part of the offense. I think they'll try and get the ball to some of the newer people to see what they've got going into the playoffs as well. So I like the Rams in this spot at winning by 10+. So the -8.5 doesn't put me off too much.
Yeah, so the Rams will know if they've got anything to play for in this game when it comes to kickoff, because the 49ers are only one game ahead of them. So if the 49ers lose it, then they will know whether or not they've got something to play for, because obviously getting the 5th seed is kind of what you want, because you're going to be playing against the Panthers or the Bucks. So I think that will sort of determine a few things maybe. But like you say, they are very good, got good strength in depth. Blake Corum's been great. I think the tight ends, Colby Parkinson, you're seeing Terrence Ferguson getting more involved now and scored a couple of touchdowns in the last couple of weeks. So they've got some depth there. I think overall they are just a much more talented team than what the Cardinals are at the moment. I wrote a little bit because I think about it because I had the Rams in my article, free bets, and I talking about the Cardinals, and I was just a little bit like the only person on offense who comes out of this with any sort of positivity or deservedness of a good season is Trey McBride. It literally is that, and there's nothing else on that offense that's done anything. The defense has been okay, but that's probably the nicest word you can say about it. It's just been okay. It's been middle of the pack, not really doing much. And like you say, it kind of feels like they've given up, and it kind of felt like they've given up quite a long way out. Kyler Murray is not going to be there next year. The contract just prohibits him really from being there because it just doesn't make financial sense for the team or to carry on. You're not going to go into a season with Jacoby Brissett. He's been good, but he's a veteran backup now. So I think that they're either going to have to bring in someone new or they're going to have to get someone in the draft. So again, to a certain extent, there is an incentive to lose this game. 8.5, it is a bit high. I liked it more when you had the 7, but obviously it's changed. But even still, I think the Rams are just a better team and will probably win this fairly comfortably. So yeah, I'm not against it.
Yeah. The next game I've got is the Chicago Bears, still in the hunt, taking them at -3 against the Lions. I'm not seeing much on offense massively from the Lions over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I know they've put up some numbers in some of the games, but they've not looked great on offense like they have done in the past. And defense obviously is a weak point for them that we've seen. So they've not quite going, but Bears seem to be firing on all cylinders. They seem to be able to move the ball down the field. Caleb Williams looks great. He's not turning the ball over. Really good with that, getting a lot of people involved in games, and their defense is very, very talented. So -3, I like the number. I'm guessing, obviously, they will find out their fate before they play as well, won't they?
No.
No.
So the Bears are currently 11-5. They've got the number 2 seed. They cannot get the number 1 seed. So the 49ers Seahawks game is kind of irrelevant for them. But actually, I get what you mean now. Is the Eagles game? No, the Eagles game is at 9:25 as well. So they both kick off at the same time. It's really about who gets the 2nd and 3rd seed. Mm-hmm. They're both 11-5. If I was the Bears, I would be wanting that 2nd seed. You're going up against a beaten up Packers team here, who's got the 7th seed, and that can't change. If you end up with the 3rd seed, you are going to be hosting the Rams at the moment, which is going to be a much tougher game and one that you really don't want to be having. So for the Bears' point of view, I think they need the win. There's an incentive there. Yeah, I mean, for the game itself, -3, I like it. It's what I've done as well. I think that I think it makes sense because they've got the incentive to do it. I am slightly concerned that it could end up becoming a bit of a shootout and that the Lions offense does have the potential to put a lot of points up very quickly. It's really going to be dependent on whether or not the Lions are really up for it. It feels like it's going to be a really high. It does feel like a high scoring game. The over under is at 50.5, which makes sense. I think the over could quite easily be hit here. Both defenses are not fantastic. Both kind of middle of the pack, and both offenses have been. The Lions offense does have the potential to really kick on, and the Bears offense has been good in the last few weeks. So I think you've got. It's a good game in respect of points being scored. I'm not sure. I went with the -3, so I'll stick with it. And I think you're right because obviously they've got more incentive than what the Lions have, and I think that's kind of how you have to look at this game.
How hard do you go if you're the Lions? I know it's a Dan Campbell team. I know it's very rah-rah, but like, how hard do you go where a week 18 major injury to one of your superstars, there's quite a few on that team, it could ruin your season next season?
Yeah, so this is the problem, isn't it? Because, we've seen with the likes of Michael Parsons at the Packers and Patrick Mahomes at the Chiefs, they've both done ACL injuries. And
at the
Parsons,
back end of the year. So you're
yeah,
losing a good portion of next year. You know, when Tom Brady did his, he did it in like week 2 and was ready for the start of the next season. So, you know, you don't want any major injuries in week 18.
So Parsons put a thing out on social media where he had his surgery, and a lot of people say 9 months, and he's like, "Oh, I'll be back for next season" and all that. And he put it out sort of around Christmas, New Year, between that week, and you sort of think to yourself, well, it's 9 months before you can start like properly training. It's essentially what it boils down to. Well, that's the beginning of September then, or the end of August. So by the time you're actually fully fit and ready to go, it's a bit different for quarterback because you can kind of stand there a bit more. But for someone like him, you do sort of think to yourself, you're not going to be ready in the first week of September. It's like it's going to take you a good month, probably 6 weeks, for you to be like properly back to
like match
game ready and match fit and stuff like that. So it will do that. So yeah, I mean, there is an element of you do have to be a bit careful. I haven't read anything about the Lions resting their players though.
No.
But
with it being a rivalry, they're going to want to.
Yeah. Right. So I feel like there will be a bit of implication into it, and that they will want to really sort of go for him a bit. However, the last thing the Lions need is, I don't know, Amon-Ra St. Brown going down with an ACL or something like that. It's like that's the last thing that they need for next year. So I think it's important that they have them out there and that they do sort of go for it. But I think this is where you sort of kind of question it and you go, oh, I feel the -3 is just about right for the Bears, and that's the side I want to be on, because I feel like they will be going 100%. Whereas for the Lions players, although you've got Dan Campbell, although you've got that attitude of like really going hard, you do have to think there might be a little bit in the back of their mind where they're a bit like, yeah, I don't really want to get a bad injury here. So not everyone. Some players won't be like that, and some players will be like, I'm 100% no matter what. But there might just be enough of them to be a little bit like, yeah, I don't fancy that.
Yeah, definitely. The next game I've taken has moved slightly as well. There must be a lot of people taking it. I took it at 10.5. It's now 11.5, so it doesn't really matter too much. It's over that 10 points still. And I've taken the 10.5, 11.5 now on the New England Patriots. At home against the Dolphins. Again, the divisional game, Patriots, you know, looking to push on and be the most competitive and the best going into the playoffs. Dolphins, I've seen a lot more of their backups playing over the last couple of weeks. I've seen a lot more of Jalen Wright and people like that on the field. So I think they're transitioning to next year and seeing what they've got for next year. So I think, again, they won't want any injuries to any major players. So I think there'll be some rotation there. So the ability for the Patriots to put up points at ease and get the victory here by over 11.5. I think looking at the other games, I think the Patriots, they're playing to win. So I think there's some other ones that are very 50-50 of whether they're playing to win or not, or bigger spreads. So I'm happy with the 11.5 on this one, I think.
Yeah, it feels like it's just the total that kind of puts you off a little bit, because it is so big. And there's a few of these games that you're seeing this week where some of these totals are crazy big. And it does feel a little bit like, do I really think that there's going to be that much of a difference between them? But I mean, we saw the Patriots, what they did to the Jets last week, where, Drake May's getting benched because he's done it. He's got 5 touchdowns. He doesn't need to do anything else. They've won by a mile. And I feel like you're probably going to end up with a similar situation here. So I kind of agree with you on the fact that I think the Patriots are very, very strong to win this, are likely to beat them quite comfortably. They do have an incentive to keep going. They are only 1 game ahead of the Jags. If the Jags win, then obviously that they have level a level record, so I'm not quite sure how that works out for them. They're actually still level with the Broncos, and I know that the Broncos, in theory, have got an easier game because the Chargers are resting players. But
well, the Dolphins have already started rested players.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. So you never know. So yeah, I just kind of feel like that there is incentive for the Patriots guys to do this. The Dolphins they've put Darren Waller, haven't they, on IR? And you sort of feel like, well, that was one of their most potent offensive weapons this season. So you sort of think, well, that's that done. I feel like there's not much there in order to be able to combat this Patriots offense. I think you can score on the Patriots defense. I don't think they're quite as good as what some people have been saying, but I do think that they'll just blow them out the water. The fact that they're at home as well helps. And so, yeah, minus 11.5 it's big. I don't like the fact it's that big, but I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, we're going to see some more of Quinn Ewers as well, aren't we, for the Dolphins? So,
yeah, it's a shame that Waller's not there. I kind of feel like Ewers has. I wasn't a particularly big fan of him when we were doing the draft show and going through the whole draft process with him. And you look at the tape when he was in college, and it was okay. There were bits that were okay, but if anyone put pressure on him, he was done. I feel like he's actually done not too bad since he's come in. He's looked reasonably all right. He has had a few. I still think the same thing, where it's like if you put pressure on him, he falls apart. But I think he's been a little bit better than what maybe I thought he would be. So.
Yeah, he had a lot of hype going into that last year with Texas. So as you said, that he's still a kid, so there's progression for him. The final game I've gone for is the Buffalo Bills. Again, that has moved slightly, so everyone's thinking the same thing. I got them at -7, they're now -8. So again, it pushes that over that -7, which is not great for us. But we've seen how bad the Jets are across the board now. It's just seemed they're putting stats out of every quarterback that's played against the Jets, and they'd be the MVP. And they've not got an interception yet this season. Offense looks terrible. They've lost all their weapons that are going to be playing. So I don't know. I think Bills win this one comfortably, and they need a big win, I think, going into the playoffs to really showcase that they are going to be dangerous. So I'm always happy at the -8. I do think they can win by 10+ quite comfortably. So I'm all right with that.
Yeah, this one I have no problem with. I think this could quite easily be the same as what the Patriots had last week against the Jets. The Jets offense just doesn't really have anything with Brady Cook. It's not really doing anything. You've still got Breece Hall, but that's literally it. And it kind of feels like there's not much else for them. So I think because of that, you can't expect them to score much. The defense is just getting absolutely knackered every single time because of it. So I feel like there's nothing there for them. The Bills are in a position to move at the moment. They have the 7th seed, but they've got the same record as the Chargers, who it looks like are going to be resting a lot of players, so they can move up to the 6th seed for that. They're also, the Texans are 11-5 as well. So it's like if something happens there, it's entirely possible that you could move up. They could end up with the 5th seed, in which case you're going up against the Ravens or the Steelers, who have kind of looked like in the same. I wouldn't say they've been as bad as the Panthers and the Bucks, but it kind of feels like the same situation where it's almost like if you want to play anyone, you want to play them.
Yeah, so, but equally, those two teams, although I think they won't do anything in the playoffs, is the playoffs and their franchise that have been there a lot. And I still have that worry at the back of my head that they could pull something off. Whereas the Panthers and the Bucks, I'm less confident they can pull some off because they're not playing fantastic football going into the playoffs.
Yeah, that probably is true. So the point is that the Bills have got something to play for. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think they will beat them up quite easily. 8 points. I'm much more comfortable with the -8 on this than I was with the -11.5 on the Patriots. But I kind of think that both of them have got really good shouts of coming in. And you'd rather be on a team that's got an incentive to play rather than a team that's just sort of like treading water and not really doing a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Adam, you just mentioned there that we're unsure now that line's moved to 11.5 with the Patriots. So if we took that one out, which one did I miss?
So for me, I think that the favourite that I would put in and that I quite like for this game is the Falcons at -3.5 against the Saints. I know that in this circumstance, neither team has anything to play for really, so it doesn't really have any sort of implications in that way. But I really do feel like the Falcons are still on a good run and are trying for their head coach. And, they've won their last 3 games. I think that there's a good chance they're going to be at home. I think they've got the stronger playmakers in the likes of Bijan Robinson and Drake London and even Kyle Pitts. Pitts has been good this season. You have to sort of admit it, despite the fact that he's had a poor on his rookie deal. He has been poor, but this season he has looked good. And, we will find out if that's because he's actually turned a corner or whether he's just playing for a contract. We will find that out next year. But I think he's done well. I think they've got the stronger playmakers at the moment. The Saints have actually won 4 games in a row. So, they've been decent as well. However, Chris Olave's out. He's got is it blood clots they found in his lung, I think, or something like that. So he's out for this game, which is basically their main offensive weapon. I think Tyler Shook has done well. I think that there is reason for the Saints to be, a little bit optimistic regarding him. I don't think he's been amazing, but I think he's done well. And I think he deserves a shot for next year. There's no reason for him to go and get a quarterback. So I can understand that. And yeah, I just think that the Falcons are they're not much better than the Saints, but I think that they've got the playmakers that can make a bigger difference in the games. And it's only -3.5, so I quite like that one.
Yeah, the Saints may as well hold off another year and try and get Arch Manning, be fit in.
Well, there is a logic to that as well. Well, not necessarily for Arch Manning, but just generally for a quarterback where the thoughts are so at the moment. I mean, who knows? You never know what's going to happen for a year of college football. But the thoughts at the moment is that the quarterback class of 27 is going to be much better than this one this year. So you sort of think to yourself, why not give Shuck the chance, see how he does? He might improve further, and then you don't have to worry about that. But give him the chance, see what happens.
Yeah, he'll be nearly, 27, 28 years old, Shuck, won't he, next year?
Yeah, cool.
But that doesn't matter. He's playing some good football at the minute. And as we've seen from some of the others, that experience within college definitely sets you up nicely for the NFL. So that's fine. Adam, what is your ACK avoid?
My ACK avoid this week is the Jacksonville Jaguars at -13.5. Now, I think the Jags win this game. I'm not going to come out and again, I've done this a couple of times in the last few weeks and it's sort of paid off, but I'm not going to say put your money on the Titans. But what I am saying is I don't think the Titans are going to lose by 14 points here. The Jaguars are a good team. I expect them to score plenty of points and I expect them to do well. But the Titans are still playing and have been, they've been out of it for ages. And it's almost like they're so sort of
it's just a team of youngsters, isn't it? It's a team of
youngsters. So it's like they're just out there having a laugh.
Yeah.
And I think that because of that, all the pressure's gone. There's no incentive for anything. There's no reason to worry about anything. They're just out there having fun, and to a certain degree, it's working, and they're putting points up. And they've got themselves 3 wins now this season, which, to be honest, after the first 8 weeks, is probably more than what any of us thought they were going to get. And they just sort of they've got some pieces there that are decent. Cam Ward is not the greatest, but he's all right. I think Chimere DK is really good. I think he's the sort of the shining light from the offense. Okonkwo has been good in the last couple of weeks. Iamana has looked all right as well. And so they've just got some playmakers. Obviously, you can come out and say Pollard and Spears in the run game has been pretty solid as well over the last sort of month, but they are going up against the Jags team that are like number one against the run, so I think that'll slow them down a bit. But yeah, I just don't see them being beaten out by this much. And also for the Jags, you know, like I said, I think there will be an element of not wanting to go. I mean, they do need to win, because if they don't, then the Texans, their level. I can't remember what the head to head is, but I feel like they probably do need to get a win. I just don't think they're going to annihilate this team.
It's a fair assessment. It opened up as the highest spread, didn't it, of the week? But that Broncos Chargers one has caught it up after the signs. Well, we all know that they're going to rest everyone. So yeah, I'd probably keep away from that. I'd probably keep away from the Chargers Broncos one as well. I wouldn't rule out Harbaugh's backups being actually, still decent. So yeah, I'd probably steer away from those two. The spreads are quite big.
And actually, as you said, if you wanted to, you could avoid the Chiefs as well, who are -5.5 against the Raiders for reasons that you mentioned, where they might decide that they don't really want to do much.
Yeah, well, and there's no expectation for them to win the game, is there? They're playing with all their backups, the quarterback and everything. So you may as well be like, well, we lost. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's against the Raiders. Oh, Raiders haven't got a good pick. Oh, what a shame. Let's move on to our touchdown scorers. Adam, who have you got for the early?
So with week 18, obviously you do have a few of this sort of like, you don't quite know who's going to play. Sometimes there's some bigger names out there that you can go for. So it can be a bit hit or miss. So I kind of usually go down the logic of sod it, let's go for a couple of big shots kind of thing.
So the early window, I've gone for two solid options and then a bit of a risk. So I wonder if we've got the same name.
Possibly, you never know. Anyway, so for the early ones, I've gone for Kyle Pitts for the Falcons at 9-5, or he was 9-5. So yeah, I've gone for Pitts at 9-5. As I said, I think that the Falcons are still playing pretty hard, and he was sort of like a solid price that I liked. The second one I've gone for Jaden Higgins.
Okay, really big price, wasn't he? I was really shocked at the price on him, because I was like, Higgins to score in that game, and I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah, I was really surprised. So the Texans still have something to play for. The Colts are out of the playoffs and don't have anything. I know it's a divisional game, but even still, I think we've seen in the last couple of weeks that CJ Stroud seems to be getting a bit more confident with his playmakers. And I feel like Jaden Higgins slightly more likely to be able to get in. I know Jalen Noel got in as well, and I did look at him. But I feel like Higgins is the one who's more likely to be around a bit more and maybe have a few more snaps. So at 17-4, I thought he was a really good price and one to go for. And then finally, I went for Chimere Dike for the Tennessee Titans, 13-5. He's the good thing about him is obviously not only is he doing very well as a wide receiver, he's also doing pretty well in the in special teams as well. So he can always score for you in that way. And yeah, I think like I say, although the Jags as well, the Jags are very, very good against the run, but they're not that great against the pass. They are I think they're 20th or something like that. They're ranked against the pass, 22nd. So yeah, they do struggle with that a bit. And like as I said, I just feel like the pressure's off with the Titans and that they're just out there having fun. So Pitts at 9-5, Higgins at 17-4, DK at 13-5, 51.92 to 1.
Just looking at it, I think it's definitely worth putting Noel in maybe a double at 9-1.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I mean, he got in last week, didn't he? And I think that he will have chances. They are going up against a Colts defense that have struggled this year. So I wasn't against the idea at all of Jalen Noel at 9-1. I think it's a good price, but I just feel like Higgins gets is out there more. That's all.
Oh, definitely, yeah. He's the one to put in your treble. I think that's definitely a go-to. I think he's cemented himself as wide receiver 2 on that team. So if they are man marking or double teaming Nico Collins, then he's the guy they're going to be targeting. So that is fine. My bet, Adam, I've got one the same. I put Kyle Pitts in mine as well at 9-5, and the way he's been playing over the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's hard to not look at those. He's had 4-5 touchdowns, something like that, and in the last 5 games. So well worth looking at that at 9-5. I went with Jacoby Myers at 6-5. Feel like he's been the shining light for them since the trading for him and bringing him over. So think he's been absolutely fantastic for them at 6-5. Really like the odds as well against the Titans, who you can score on, and Trevor Lawrence has been gunning the ball around and looking good. So quite happy that the ball's going to be going towards him this week. And then finally, my long shot was Flanoy at the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
He's been in twice over the last 3 weeks, hasn't he? And I just feel like, when else can you try out what you've got in some of your other players that aren't exactly, we don't overly know what's going on with Pickens yet, do we? So, to see what you've got in Flanoy, I think at 3-1 is definitely worth a bet against a Giants team that I'm not sure how tough they're going to be in the secondary. I think they might let the odd one slip, and he might be the guy to get through. So at 3-1, I really liked it.
Yeah, I've actually got him written down. I quite liked him for it as well. He seems to be getting involved quite a lot and has done pretty well. Obviously, I like Pitts. And the last one, Myers. Yeah, I'm not against it with Myers. I just, like you say, he should be involved quite a lot, and he does get involved quite a bit. So I think I had him last week and he didn't get in.
No, not been in for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, so it has been a bit of a struggle for him.
He has been in twice in the last 5 weeks, but not necessarily 3 weeks.
But yeah, he's still a pretty good option. So yeah, I think you got a good shout there.
I tell you what would be worth putting in instead of it if you wanted someone for that game. Trevor Lawrence, 2-1.
Yeah, I've got that written.
Yeah, been in the last 3 weeks. He's been in for rushing touchdowns, and they are using his legs a lot more. Yeah,
they do seem to be, don't they?
And he's looked good running the ball. Sneaky.
Yeah, that's
what I said when he came out of college.
It kind of feels like that's what Liam Cohen did with Baker last year, and he was using his legs a lot more, and it kind of seems to be working a bit for him. So I think that's going to be that's kind of the concern for all of the wide receivers, actually, because it's like when they get in the red zone now, it does feel like they want to run him a little bit more than what they used to, whereas for it always used to be passes. So yeah, that's the only concern for that bit.
My early treble, by the way, is 23.64-1. Adam, what's your late one?
So my late one was of sort of similar odds, but they put Darren Waller on IR, so that was the end. That was the end of that. So for the late games, I've gone for Trey McBride again for the Cardinals. I don't think they're going to do much. The Rams defense has conceded a few recently, so I feel like if anyone's going to score, it's probably going to be McBride. He's 8-5, so it's not a bad price for McBride. I don't know how much he's going to play, but I kind of feel like he seems pretty adamant that he wants to play and all that. So I think McBride at 8-5 is a good shout. Colston Loveland for the Bears against the Lions. As I said previously, for that game, the Lions defense, you can score on them. I think Loveland is a good option for Caleb Williams, who just kind of like, I don't think he's been amazing, but it is his first year, and as a rookie tight end, normally the first year is a developing year for most rookie tight ends, but I think he's done all right. Going up against defense you can score on, so 31-20 for him I thought was okay. And then finally for the Bills, I've gone for Theo Johnson, 15-4. I thought he was quite a decent price.
Maybe you've gone for Ty Johnson.
Okay, I've gone for Ty Johnson at 15-4. Theo Johnson, your guy, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's ill.
Yeah. I knew he was around. I knew Theo Johnson existed.
Yeah.
So Ty Johnson for the Bills at 15-4. I just think he gets. Not only does he get involved in the run game, but he's good in the passing game as well. And if they do end up in a position where they sort of start resting a few players, then I feel like Johnson's one who will still be out there. So yeah, so 30.49 to 1 for that. As I say, I think it is just sort of like long shots. It does get difficult in week 18 because you just don't know 100% who's playing, but I think it's worth having a go at some big prices. And I felt like McBride, Loveland, and Johnson isn't a bad shout.
Yeah, I have gone for Blake Corum for the Rams at 6-4. He's been getting in a load recently. I noticed when they get towards sort of like when they're 5 yards out from the goal line, fantasy has
he's
shown
the bruiser, isn't he? Now
he's been the one that's out there. I remember in the playoffs, I played someone who had Kyron Williams. I was like, oh, it's not Kyron out there. This is good. And he has been in, as you can see there, 1, 2, 3, 5 times in the last 5 games. That is more than Kyron Williams and more most recently as well. So I think at 6-4, that's some really, really good odds you can get on him. The next guy I've gone for, you won't go for Colston Loveland. I've noticed there's another guy that's been getting massively involved and has done over the last sort of 8 weeks now, and that is Luther Burden III. When you look at his targets, even especially the last 3 weeks, he had 9 targets last week, 7 the week before, 6, and then 6, and then 5, and then 5. So slowly more and more getting involved in that game. Got the touchdown last week. So I've taken Luther Burden at 7-5 this week. So as you said, you can score on the Lions, and he's get the ball in his hands and he's dangerous. So I've gone with Burden over Loveland. Loveland is a great bet though. I do really like Loveland to be in as well. And then finally, I've taken Troy Franklin. Just think that connection with Bo Nix on the last game against the Chargers with all their backups at 23-10. There's a great chance. I think looking at all the names that could go in, if I bring it up on the screen, I think I really like the odds on him for that one. Adam, I'm not sure what you're thinking. Cortland Sutton's 29-20 and Pat Bryant's 13-4. So I feel like
is Bryant actually going to be out there? I mean, he got absolutely smashed, didn't he?
Beyond smashed, but I guess that was just a shake up in that game, and then a couple of days you're back at it. Not sure there was any lasting.
Well, he didn't play last week because he had a concussion.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's you have to, don't you? If you
So he missed that game, so he should be out of concussion protocol now. Mm-hmm. But you do sort of think, would you really have him out there? Yeah, I mean, I'm not against Franklin. Obviously, it's the big shot over the top, isn't it, Franklin? So it's like there's always a good chance that it'll happen. I just, in a way, like you say, I'm not. The sort of like the way that it's being portrayed as though the Chargers are literally going to turn up with random people off the street is just not quite true. It's like these backups are going to be pretty good still. And, if they're being coached by Harbaugh, I don't think they're just going to fold and not do anything. So that's my only concern with it, where it's like, and also the Broncos have not exactly been the free-flowing offense that has scored loads of points. So it does kind of make you feel a little bit concerned because of that. But yeah, I mean, at his price, I think he's probably worth putting in.
18.8 to 1. Just having a quick look at that. I think there's value at having Trey Lance at 17-4.
What, to rush in a touchdown?
Yeah. It's a skill set, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. We've barely seen him.
We've barely seen him. We know what he was like in college. We know he's
True.
athletic.
Well, I don't know. We didn't see much of him in college either, did we?
Oh, we did. We saw one season of him. But they're rolling with Vidal and Haskins this week, aren't they? So I think Trey Lance could be a bit of a decoy there and get in the end zone. So that might be worth having a little look at 17-4. Was there any other big ones that you've got down on your list that you quite like to look at? As it's week 18, there should be loads of random ones.
Yeah, I mean, not that I had put down. I thought that Isaac Teslar at 23-10, it's not massive, but I thought was worth a go. Terrence Ferguson for the Rams at 17-4. He's got in the last couple of weeks, so that was worth including. But yeah, I mean, I had Flanoy at the bigger price as well for the Cowboys. But no, the other bigger ones are kind of the ones that I've already put in the trebles. Like I say, I kind of just thought, I'd rather be back in Flanoy than CD Lamb this week, sort of thing. I feel like you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't, because the problem is some of these teams could like pull their starters after the first half, and then so it's a very difficult week to find anyone that really that great. I mean, I imagine the Browns would have. I had Fanning written down, but then I read that he's out injured, so he's not going to play. The Bengals lot. I thought Higgins at 17-10 for the Bengals felt quite big for him. So given the fact that they are scoring a lot of points at the moment, I know they're going up against a good Browns defense, but even still, I felt like that was quite a big price. But yeah, nothing else that was majorly huge.
Yeah, I think we found some really good potential odds in there. I really like some of the bets we've got. Adam, this is the final week of the regular season. We can get some money. Hopefully there's a win in there. I think there's some wins in there, especially some of the higher prices that we mentioned as well. Banging them in a double isn't silly this week as well. Spreading it over the early and late games as well. I suppose you've quite liked it. There's been quite a lot of late games to choose from. You haven't been pigeonholed to 3 games. So that's
well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because there was no Thursday night football or anything.
No bye weeks, no Thursdays.
Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6, 7 late games. Is it 7 and 7 then? 1, 2. No, 6 early, 7 late. Oh, okay, that's a bit weird. But yeah, so it's a little bit different. Like I say, no buys, no Thursday night football, so it kind of opens it up a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And then we will be back for some playoff betting as soon as they all start and kick off, and we'll have some lovely bets for you for that. You'll have some articles out. We'll have loads going on. But till then, keep it with the franchise tag.